What is going on, guys? Robert from Robert's here with a new video for you guys. I figured since I talked about how Monster Hunter Double Cross was my new favorite Monster Hunter game over Monster Hunter Unite, that I will go ahead and make a video about my least favorite Monster Hunter game. And if you've been watching any of my other Monster Hunter videos, you would know that I'm a longtime player of Monster Hunter, starting with Monster Hunter Freedom on the PSP and consistently buying titles since. And I must say that by far, my least favorite Monster Hunter game in the franchise is Monster Hunter 4U. And I know that I said that I enjoyed Monster Hunter Freedom Unite more than Monster Hunter Tri and Monster Hunter 3U because it had more monsters than it. And there's no denying that Monster Hunter 4U is an improvement because they added more monsters, more weapons, and new game mechanics. So, by my logic, you would think that Monster Hunter 4U would be better than Monster Hunter Unite in my book. And if you believe that, you would be wrong. And I'm just going to do like a little comparison here with Monster Hunter Unite and Monster Hunter 4U. Unite had 23 small monsters, so 4U's 23 small monsters. Unite had 58 large monsters that you can hunt, while 4U had 75 large monsters that you could hunt. And when you look at the Elder Dragons, you have Unite having 15 Elder Dragons and 4U having 16 Elder Dragons. So they pretty much tied in two areas, and then 4U has more large monsters. So you could probably see why a lot of people were impressed with 4U, and they were making comparisons that this was better than Monster Hunter Unite. And I honestly was not one of those people. I think that 4U is a pretty fun game. However, there are some huge issues that this game has, and even as a Monster Hunter fanboy, I cannot ignore them. An issue that I did not like in Monster Hunter 4U was how key features were locked in the offline mode. Now, Monster Hunter 4U is the first Monster Hunter game to have what I would consider a legitimate story. Like, normally I just hit the X button or whatever to just go through whatever the characters are saying so I can start hunting the monsters. And with 4U, they took a more cinematic approach to where they tried to actually make you feel as though you was involved with the world, the characters that were in your caravan, that you was traveling to town, making a difference, and so on and so forth. And they actually gave, like, I guess some lore behind the Gore Magala and how it transformed into the Charu Magala. It was some cool stuff. Even though I was just skipping most of it at first, I slowly got into it. So I'm not going to say that 4U had a bad story, because it didn't. However, I will say that if you didn't play the story mode, they did take certain features away from you, such as not being able to have access to decorations. Now, if you don't know what decorations are, they're pretty much items that you could make in order to unlock skills. So right here I have a set of a skill list, and you'll see that 2 skills are activated because they have a total of 10, Ranger and Gathering. Now, if you had 3 more points, you would have a 3rd skill activate called Speed Setup, in which case this is where you would get your jewels, and you'll make 3 Speed Setup jewels, and then you would have Speed Setup on your slightly customized set here, if you had any slots available on your armor or your weapon or on the charm. And the reason why this was an issue was because I pretty much start playing the online mode immediately, because that's how I play all my Monster Hunter games. I jump online so I can start playing with people, because that's the most fun, is to grind getting to G rank or in fighting the last Elder Dragon. And I did not have access to decorations all the way through. I thought I would unlock them as I got further and further in the online mode, like when I got to high rank or G rank. But that was not the case. When I got to G rank, I did not have access to decorations, so I could not make my custom sets. And that did not make me happy. And when I finally went online to find out why I couldn't gem stuff, it was because I did not play the story mode. And you have to get the hearth and make it to where they could start blacksmithing or whatever. And you got to beat the spider so it stops blocking the lava or whatever. And you have to do that. And if you don't, you're punished by not having access to decorations, which you were able to use pretty much from the get-go in every other Monster Hunter game. I thought that was a load of bullshit. Another thing that was locked to the story mode was white stones. Now, white stones were used to combat the new mechanic of frenzy, and it was for apex monsters as well. And if you played the story mode, eventually you would have to fight a apex Sergios. Now, the thing with apex monsters is that they have different hitboxes, so it's pretty much most of their body is hardened, and they do have some areas that are weak, but most of their body's hard and your attacks bounce off. So you have to activate the waste stone or whatever. You sharpen your weapon with it, and then like you are able to knock them out of the air, knock them out of their apex mode, or you can knock them out of their frenzy mode. And this was locked to being a offline only thing, and I thought that was bullshit as well, because they do have subquests to where you have to suppress the frenzy of a monster, and you're not able to do it unless you played offline. So I think that they should have at least given you like a basic white stone for just playing the online mode. I think the guild should have provided it so that you can at least do your subquest. But we're talking about like you're not able to do your subquest and get extra money and extra rewards because you haven't played the offline mode. I think that was bullcrap. And another thing is, once you get to G rank, you have frenzied monsters just roaming about. And to be honest, my first couple of frenzied monsters, we just beat the crap out of it without the white stone. And when I got to G rank, I seen some people were knocking it out of the frenzy, and I was like, how the hell did they do that? Because I know we've been hitting these other monsters really hard. And I know that in previous Monster Hunter games, they gave you incentive to play the offline mode by giving you like some cool perks. Like with Monster Hunter Tri, they put Cetus as an offline exclusive monster. So if you played the offline and completed it, you got access to his armor and weapons. But it wasn't like a huge mechanic like making decorations or white stones to fight frenzied and apex monsters. So I believe that that was just absolute BS. And as a G rank player, I had to go back and play the story mode. And this isn't to say that the story mode was bad, but I mean, I would rather have been doing like my G2, G3 keys or whatever, but I had to go back and play the story mode just so I can get access to a basic feature that the other Monster Hunter games had. The main reason I dislike Monster Hunter 4U is the mechanic that I'm sure a lot of you guys love. I hate mounting. Mounting sucks. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is mounting? And I will explain. So pretty much, when Monster Hunter 4 came out, they introduced 2 new weapons. They had the Charge Blade, and they had the Insect Glaive. And gosh, I just hated seeing players with the Insect Glaive. And the reason for this is because the Insect Glaive allowed for the hunter to jump on top of monsters and activate like this little mini game where you're stabbing them or whatever, and the monster will try to knock you off the back, and then you hold the stamina button or the sprint button so you can hold on, and then if you are successful in the mini game, you'll knock the monster over, and then you can get some free licks on it. And you know, if you're playing like the story mode or if you're playing offline, it's not really a big deal. It's just a little way for you to get some extra damage or whatever. However, when you step to the 4-player hunt, it becomes really, really annoying if you enjoy your hunts. And this is because whenever someone starts a little mounting mini game, the other 3 players are just kind of sitting there twiddling their thumbs, and people will be like, oh, well, you could sharpen, or you could take potions. And I'm like, you know, that's cool and all, but I'd rather just be fighting the monster. That's kind of the primary purpose of me buying this game, is to fight the monsters. So whenever someone mounted, it really interrupted the flow of combat for the other 3 hunters involved. And while I will say that sometimes this was used as a way to save a hunter, like if a hunter was about to die and someone jumped and mounted on the monster and allowed them time to heal or stuff, I think that's okay for that situation. But mostly people are just spamming it so they could get some extra damage in and not have to work as hard on their fights. So pretty much it was a way to cheese. You'd get like 2 Insect Glaive guys constantly just doing a little mounting attack, and then they mount the monster, and then it really doesn't get to move all that much, and they win, so maybe they're having fun. But for me, I like to actually enjoy my hunts, you know, actually fight, struggle, so it made the game boring, to be honest. And that's because the flow of combat is arguably the core of Monster Hunter. That's why all these weapons play differently. Now, if you're hunting a Gore Magala with a greatsword, your experience is going to be different than if you were hunting with a sword and shield, a lance, a bow or a heavy bow gun. So like you get into your rhythm, you start to understand how the monster is going to move, and then you start to fight said monster. But what would happen? Someone mounts it, and you have to just stop. And it was just really annoying to see people do that. When someone mounted, you were expected to stop and sharpen or take potions and wait for the guy to topple the monster so you could resume the fight. And some people really relied on that mount spam to where like you're fighting a monster and you'll wonder where the hell everyone is at, and you'll see 3 people on the ledge waiting for the monster to run over there so they could try to mount it. And that sucked. And speaking of sucking, mounting actually ruined my second Fatalis kill. I killed the Black Fatalis in Monster Hunter Unite. And then when I seen that I'd be able to fight the Crimson one and MH4U, I was excited because Fatalis is a difficult monster. It's one of the monsters that is on my pilgrimage for Monster Hunter to fight the classic big bads like Fatalis, Crimson Fatalis, and hoping to fight that White Fatalis someday. And you know it's supposed to be a difficult fight, and it's supposed to separate like the good hunters from the meh hunters. It's supposed to be a challenge, you know? And I had no sense of accomplishment when we beat the Crimson Fatalis because we had an insect glaive guy that just kept mounting it, and then we just hit it when it was down. And I mean, to be honest, felt more like you cheesed the Crimson Fatalis, which led to me getting this greatsword, not me actually besting the monster and earning its greatsword. And you know, when I see cheesing, it was often in Destiny, so where it was just people who were just lazy, or they didn't enjoy the game, or they just wanted the rewards, so they just wanted to do an easy cheese kill or whatever. And that's the thing about the Monster Hunter franchise. It's not about cheesing monsters. It's about challenging the monsters to a duel in order to access its weapons and armor. So when you think about it, Monster Hunter is kind of a game of honor. And that was why I disliked Monster Hunter 4U, because it was a game that lacked honor in areas. So like whenever you play a Monster Hunter game, your armor and your weapons are not given to you. Those are earned through your trials and tribulations as a hunter, as you grind your way through low rank, high rank, and then eventually G rank. And this is where you earn your weapons and armor. So you fight those monsters who are like obstacles in your way. And when you defeat those monsters, you don their armor on your back, or you don their weapon. And that's kind of like a signal to other hunters to let you know what you've done. Pretty much, if you don't get to talk to hunters prior to doing a hunt with them. So what armor they have, and what weapon they have kind of tell their story, and it lets you know about how experienced they are. For newer players, they might not have like really good sets. They might not have a bunch of armor skills, and they might just have the armor they can make with the highest defense and whatever weapon that they can make. But you see some seasoned players, and they might have like a bunch of armor skills or a difficult monster's weapon or armor. And because of this, you're like, okay, I think this guy will be able to hold their own. And this is important when you're doing 4-man hunts. And the fact that you could cheese hunts with the insect glaive just made me really not trust any of the hunters that I seen, despite what armor they was wearing. And there were other reasons as well, which will come up later in this video. And if you look at this character select screen for Monster Hunter 4U, you'll see that I have the Crimson Wall, which is a Uragan weapon. However, I did not fight Uragan to get this weapon because Uragan is not available in the game. So Monster Hunter 4U also introduced a mechanic that I did not care for, to where you could trade monster parts for monsters that weren't in the game. So if you fight Black Gravios, you will be able to trade those parts for Uragan parts to make Uragan armor and selected Uragan weapons. You were able to make the greatsword, the hammer, and the bow. And I don't think you were able to make any of the other Uragan weapons. So with this trading system, it was kind of lame. Because one, when you play Monster Hunter, you're supposed to hunt the monster in order to defeat the monster to get access to the weapons and armor or whatever. And you wear that as your trophy. And there's a sense of pride with donning that armor whenever you go meet other hunters. And in this game, you just kind of could trade for it. I was disappointed I couldn't fight Uragon and any of the other monsters that showed up in the trading list as well, because Uragon wasn't the only one. And the fact that they added trading was bad enough, but they had insult to injury. They didn't even add all the weapons for the monsters. So if you had a favorite monster and you didn't have, if you had like a favorite weapon and it wasn't on that list, then you were just shit out of luck. So like when I came to the Monster Hunter 4U community, it was the absolute worst experience I've had with the Monster Hunter community. And if Monster Hunter 4's online servers were going down, I would not even go back, to be honest, because that's how bad my experience was with the Monster Hunter 4U community. The thing about the Monster Hunter Tri community is that we followed this unspoken rule of, if you help me with a quest, I will help you with a quest. And there were times where people would have their urgent completed and they wanted to log off for the night, and they was like, you know what, since you helped me with the quest, I'm going to help you guys with one quest and then I'm going to log off. Like, they communicate that with you. And that's just a luxury that the 4U community did not have at all. From my experiences, they were just a bunch of selfish pricks. Case in point, when I had to do my Pink Raytheon urgent, and boy, did I do this urgent. I helped so many people complete this urgent that by the time I actually got around to doing my urgent, I had full Pink Raytheon gear. And you might be asking yourself, Robert, why didn't you do your urgent? Why was you doing so many people's urgents? It's because as soon as we would complete one person's urgent in the room, they would leave. And then another person would come in with their urgent. And this happened probably 3 or 4 times. So much so that a random online was like, hey, Robert helped me do my urgent, so we're not going to do anybody else's urgent until we do his. And, you know, I got to give props to that player whose name I've sadly forgotten. But, I mean, that's how bad it was when people get their urgent complete and they completely bail on a team that helped them do it. Which is really unfortunate because at this point in 4U, it was early. So just finding people that was at this point was hard enough. But finding competent hunters that were able to actually complete the quest was even harder. And then just trying to have them repeat the quest to help someone else out was, well, I guess too much, because they would bail immediately afterwards. And this wouldn't be the first time they did this either, because this happened again with the Sharu Magala quest, where I was having problems finding hunters that were skilled enough to kill the Sharu Magala for the high rank urgent. And, you know, eventually I did find a group and they ran with like this hunting horn guy that was doing kills in the background. And this happened with this hunting horn guy that was just doing the healing melody in the background and letting 2 other people fight or whatever. And then I joined in with my greatsword and we were able to defeat it because I'm pretty good. I just hit the monster really hard. And in this case, I had my friend Benny join me because he seen me I was online and he probably just wanted to play. And these players that I was just helping, and they were so grateful, turned around and started to talk so much crap about this low-level hunter. Because they was calling him like a noob, a scrub, and all that stuff. And like, well, we're not going to help you out, blah, 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 blah. And I'm sitting there like, are these people for real? Like, after hunting with them, I seen like they weren't even the best hunters. Like, they were getting hit hard, and they died on the quest that I didn't die on. And the funny thing about it was, the guy that they were talking crap about is a legit hunter. He's a veteran like me. He played Monster Hunter Unite, and he beat Unite. He did all the quests by himself, damn near. Not only that, he soloed Eukalos just like I soloed Eukalos. This guy was leagues above these guys in terms of skill, but because his HR looked like it was low, they were sitting there having their little superiority complex. And pretty much what happened was they kicked Benny, and I was like, hey man, that's my friend in real life, and I called them out on their bullshit and told them I wasn't going to help them anymore, and I left the room. So pretty much what happened with this Dalamador incident is that I joined the room trying to do my urgent, and then this guy was like, hey man, I've been having a lot of people leave on me. If you help me with my urgent, I'll help you with your urgent. And then I was like, okay, that's cool, you know. And then I was trying to get my urgent done for my friend, Live Devil, here in this little screenshot that I took. So we did the guy's urgent, and he ranked up to like 25. After you beat Dalamador, they take you from like the HR 6 or 7, and they convert it to experience points based on how much you've hunted, and then they give you a level. This guy's was 25, and then he was like, okay, let's do the next one. So I posted my quest, and then while we were there, the guy bailed, and I don't think this guy disconnected, because I know that that happens sometimes. Like, he bailed as soon as the quest started, so as soon as he got what he wanted, he flaked on us, and I was not happy about that. Luckily, my friend did not back down from quests, just like I don't back down from quests. So pretty much, I believe we two-manned that quest, and then once we finished, I was level 42, and the guy that bailed was 25, so I had more experience than the other guy that bailed, if you just look at the numerical values that I don't normally put much merit into. But obviously, I've been playing a lot more than this guy. And the reason I was 42 is because I actually helped people. Like, if they had an urgent, then I would help them with their urgent. And that's how my HR level was climbing so much. And I remember because my friend said that was the highest level he had seen, because he had just seen a bunch of level 20s or whatever. So apparently, a lot of people were just in it for themselves. And I was not the only one to notice this, because when we went on to do our Eukalos urgent in order to get into G rank, I had a hunter pretty much express his frustrations that people would say that they would help him, and then they would flake on him. And he was talking about with Eukalos, because I was like, hey man, I'm going to help you with the urgent if you join. And he was like, are you really going to help me, or are we going to complete your urgent and you're going to leave like all these other players do? And like, we sat down and we had like a mini discussion about like how the Monster Hunter 4 community just it sucks, and the elitism in it from these players that are flaking also sucks. But it also didn't end there. I have another experience once I made it up to G rank, where we was fighting in Kushala Diora. And what I hated was relying on other hunters, because I seen how much they flake. So I was just trying to get good enough armor to where I could just solo everything if I wanted to. So I was going after the Kushala armor because I had like 3 pieces of it already. So I needed like a few more materials from it. So when I made the room for it, we had this guy come in. Everyone was G rank, and you know, it wasn't a lot of G rank players. So just finding G rank players was just a miracle in of itself, let alone like competent ones. So we're fighting this Kushala Dior with 4 people. We have one guy that's just not fighting. He's like in the other area, so I thought he was AFK. But as soon as Kushala went to his area, he left and went to the area that Kushala just left from. So this causes the person, one of the hunters, to just leave. So then it was just me and this other guy trying to two-man a G-rank Kushala Diora, and we did not have the appropriate armor, of course, because we were fresh in a G-rank, and we were trying to, we bit off more than we could chew. We ended up losing the quest, although we gave it one hell of a fight. And I know that I said, like, hey man, if that guy would have came up trying to get the cards, if we would have won, I would not have let him gotten it. I would have kicked him and upswing him. And then as soon as we got back to the room, I would have told him why I did it. So he can know that sitting there and trying to mooch off of G-rank players isn't what the Monster Hunter community is about. And there was also another incident, which isn't like as serious, but it is a little bit douchey. So pretty much, I had convinced my wife to play the game. I got her 3DS, I got her a copy of the game, and we were starting to do our HR1 quest. So I told her to post the Great Jaggy, and the HR2 came into the room. So I'm like, oh sweet, a third person to help us out. He walks over to the quest board, sees this Great Jaggy, was like, y'all are doing some easy monsters, and then just leaves. And I'm sitting there like, what? An HR2 is acting like a Great Jaggy is beneath him? Oh my gosh, what is up with this community? And gosh, I must say, the Monster Hunter 4U community were really kick happy. They kicked a lot of players, sometimes for justified reasons, like if you have a player who's just being rude, they're trying to like boss hog all the quests, or they're being annoying, saying, hey, help me, help me, help me, help me, help me. Not following the rules of the host, something like that, I can totally understand. Like if you're trying to hunt Rathalos and this guy comes in with Diablos and he's like, help me do Diablos, it's like, no, it's a Rathalos room, get out. I can understand why people kick other players. However, with 4U, the kicking just became more ridiculous. And here's a thread from Game Facts about a guy who was getting kicked for the armor that he had. And the people were saying, oh, well, you're bronze G rank, so, like, I don't want you in my quests or whatever. And this is a issue that deserves a video in of itself to call out all these douchebags. But I will keep it short here. The people in the Monster Hunter 4U community love to kick people for stupid reasons. And in which case, here's another one from Reddit where there was a guy talking about how you needed a Y stone for later G rank encounters, and how he was talking about how if they didn't have a Y stone, that he would kick them, and that's because they were a liability. And stuff like that gets me because, like, you haven't even seen this individual play. You don't know how good this hunter is. And I mean, granted, they could be like crap. They could be awful. They could card all 3 times or whatever. However, there are some individuals that, like myself, did not play the offline mode to get Y stones. So we still go through and we wreck shit. And you're telling me that if I would have tried to join this guy's room to do a quest, he would have just kicked me automatically, despite my what? I've been playing Monster Hunter for like 10 years now, so probably like 8 years of experience. That's bullshit. But like I said, I'm going to explain that in a later video where I address the whole kicking thing. And the funny thing is that this guy was wrong about the little Apex monsters or whatever. Because while Y stones make the fight easier, it's still possible to take them down without it. A lot of the Apex monsters have different hit zones to where it's like hitting Uragon's chin. Like if you hit that with a certain degree of sharpness, your attack's always going to bounce off. And with some monsters, even if you have purple sharpness, your attack's going to bounce off. So you're not doing like the max damage that you can, but you're not having, how would I say, you're still doing damage. When your attack bounces off, it's not like you're not doing no damage at all, or you're doing 70% of your damage. It's just you're hitting a crappy spot of the monster, or it's like hitting a turtle shell instead of hitting its face. Hitting the shell hurts it, but it's not doing as much as you could do. And if you hit the face, you'll be doing much more damage. Same concept with Apex monsters. They did have weaker spots on the monsters to where you could hit them without your attacks bouncing off. But this guy didn't even give you an opportunity because he would kick you because you didn't have a Y stone, which is just used to knock the monsters out of the frenzied state. So if they were Apex, it'll knock them out of Apex for a limited amount of time. And if they were frenzied, it'll knock them out of their little frenzy for a limited amount of time. In which case, the guy's attacks and tactics could still be good and not make him to be a liability because he doesn't have an object that's a offline exclusive, which I addressed already. So if you haven't gathered yet, the Monster Hunter 4U community, not really team players, because this whole little etiquette thing that was like a norm and tried to where like you help me with a quest, I help you with a quest, didn't happen so much in 4U, for me personally. Because I noticed a lot of times when I help people do their stuff, they would flake or bail. Another thing that sucked about the Monster Hunter 4U community was the amount of rage quitters. There were a lot of them. There were rage quitters in Try, but you didn't run into them as much as 4U. I mean, my gosh. And not to mention that 4U had a bunch of impatient losers. I don't know what it is about like the 3DS or whatever, but people just get so impatient. It's like they go into a room, like let's say you make a Rathlos room and you're just waiting for people to come. You'll have a person come in, not say anything, see you aren't there because you might be crafting armor or something, and then they just leave. And it's like, really, dude, why are you doing this? And then they probably just go try to look for a room with 3 or 4 players so they can immediately start hunting. Instead of just being like, hey, let me just wait for this room to start up. I don't know. It's kind of stupid to me, but whatever. You know, a lot of the go now type of people were playing 4U, and I didn't too much care for that. And boy, let's go ahead and hit the elephant in the room. The amount of cheaters in 4U were ridiculous. We're talking about power saves, custom quests. And for those you who don't know what that is, pretty much a power save is like using a Game Shark for the 3DS. You alter your save data so you can get access to stuff that you normally wouldn't have access to. Let's say if you were a low rank player, you could adjust your save to where you have like high rank materials, monsters that you don't have access to. You have their armor already, stuff like that. It's just cheating. frankly. And custom quests were bullcrap too. Custom quests was pretty much you making like a custom event quest or whatever, and then you could adjust the rewards of what you would fight. And this is why you've seen so many fake HR 999s. It's because they did like a custom quest to where like you turn in a mega potion and it gives you a crap ton of like 100 points or whatever, and that's how they got up to 999. Or they'd use it to get like hard to get items, or they had like some armor that you got from doing, I forgot what they call it, like expedition quests or guild quests or whatever. And they'd do that and hack it so they could get like really good armored talismans that had like plus 10 for skills that are like ridiculous. Like you get a charm to have like plus 20 attack. Pretty much cheating. And there was a lot of cheating within 4U. And I had someone I knew in real life that used a power save. And that just, I was like, really, dude? Like, the game is about the hunt and the struggle. And you use a power save to get armor for a monster you haven't even hunted yet. Really, dude? And also online where we had an HR 999 enter the room in full White Fatalis gear. And this person was like, help. I need help. Can you guys help me? So I'm like, what could this guy in full White Fatalis armor need help with? It was a Devil Joe. Not a Savage Devil Joe, not a Frenzy Devil Joe, not a Apex Devil Joe, just a standard Devil Joe. And when we went into the quest, this guy carded immediately. He died so quick. It was like white lightning. Oh my gosh, he died twice. And then he rage quit after that. And there's no way you can tell me that that guy legit got to HR 999, legit got the White Fatalis armor, and was not able to fight a G-rank Devil Joe. So yeah, your first playthrough of Monster Hunter is a journey, and this goes for the new players and the veteran players as well. We're all trying to just do our key quests and be able to fight more monsters. That's the reason why you do the keys. It's to unlock more monsters for you to fight so you can make better armor, better weapons, or whatever. And when you have a community that's so awful, a community that sucks so hard, it negatively influences your perception of the game because of that. Like, normally when you play online, it's like, I have so many people to help me out. But with Monster Hunter 4U, I feel like there's so many crappy players out there. I don't really want to play online. I'd rather just play with my friends. And that's not doing the community any favors, especially for those who want Monster Hunter to get bigger in the West. If the community sucks, people will not want to pick up the game, and people will not want to play. Monster Hunter already has a learning curve, so it only makes it worse when you run into douchebag players who are kicking you for arguably stupid reasons, and sometimes for their own ignorance, and players who flake and bail on quests once you help them out. Like, those players are stopping this franchise from expanding in the West. So you can see why there were a lot of individuals that just kind of lost faith in the Monster Hunter community over the years, because they decide that, hey, I don't want to deal with the bullshit, so I'm either going to hunt with my set group of friends, or I'm just going to do it all solo because I'm tired of running into crappy players. Now, don't get me wrong. I know I've pretty much torn the community a new one here, and I will say that there are some legit hunters out there that actually are good. They help new players out. They don't bail on quests, they don't flake, and they're there until that third cart. And after that third cart, when you restart the quest to defeat whatever monster bested you. Like, there are players like that out there, but I'm just saying with 4U, for that huge influx of players that came, because it was their first Monster Hunter game, a lot of crappy players came. And with those players came cheaters who used power saves and custom quests in order to bypass the whole honor aspect of the game. And I think you can understand why I don't like Monster Hunter 4U as much as I did other entries in the Monster Hunter franchise. And compared to the other games that I've played, 4U is the least favorite for a reason. And the reason is that I think the thesis of my dislike for Monster Hunter 4U is that this is the first time where the new game mechanics that they added took precedence over the core gameplay. And that should never happen in a Monster Hunter game. Monster Hunter is about hunting monsters. And if you know the basic fundamentals, if you're good at just surviving fights, then you should be rewarded for that. And I felt like in 4U, they rewarded people for like the accessories, the bells and whistles, and not like the core gameplay. And that's why a lot of these individuals aren't arguably as good as the hunters that came before them, because they overly rely on the mounting mechanic and Y stones for difficult fights with frenzied and apex monsters. When in the past, I think people would have just legitimately roughed it and be like, you know what? I don't know how to get a Y stone, but I'm going to fight this thing and kill it. And I'm not going to back down. And that's a big part of Monster Hunter, is that not backing down, that hunting spirit, to where it's like, this is a challenge and it seems impossible, but I'm going to try it anyway. And that pretty much wraps it up for this video, guys. Let me know what you think about Monster Hunter 4U in the comments. Did you enjoy it when you were playing it? Do you think I'm full of crap? Or whatever. And I hope you guys have a nice day. See ya!